I just got a complaint from one of my clients in my childcare business, and I feel bad and I just don't know what to do. If that's you right now, I want you to keep watching. It doesn't feel good when one of our clients complains about something in our business. So whether you're a home daycare provider, whether you are a director of a bigger, larger childcare center, it doesn't feel good when a parent comes in the office or emails you or calls and tells you, you know what, I have a complaint. My name is Christina Rizakos, and I help aspiring, new, or struggling childcare business owners operate businesses they adore. And in today's video, we're going to tackle complaints. I'm going to walk you through a very simple process that you can create in your childcare business to make you feel less stressed every time someone has a complaint. Because it does happen, it will happen. So you might as well have some type of procedure to make sure that it doesn't get out of control and that you deal with it in the most professional way possible. So here we go. Having a clear step-by-step procedure to handle complaints is so important. And I'm going to explain why. I remember when I started my childcare business, I was invested 1000%. And I treated it like a baby, like this was my baby, right? It was like my second home. At a point, I think I was more at the center than I was at home. But I remember one time a parent had a complaint about something. I think it was the menu. And I, as a brand new childcare business owner, didn't have procedures in place inside my policy booklet. I didn't know what to write, how to write it. I didn't know, what I was allowed to tell the parent without overstepping. I felt bad. So I just decided not to add a policy procedure inside the booklet altogether. And this parent had a complaint about the menu. There's something about the menu that she didn't like. So when I wasn't there and my staff was there, she walked in and she kind of looked at the menu and said, she started saying stuff like the menu's not good enough. Why don't they do this? And why don't they add that? And blah, 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 blah. She started talking to herself, and then she went over to the teachers, and then she made them feel uncomfortable. And at that point, it was pickup time. So the other parents were walking in and out of the hallways, listening to her talk really loud, saying rude things. And it was really uncomfortable from what the staff told me to deal with her, because they didn't know what to say. They didn't know what they could say. And it was really, really uncomfortable for everyone. So I knew that there was a problem I had to fix in my center. I knew that I had to handle this, right? Because the last thing I wanted was parents coming in and out of the center and that type of environment, right? I wanted the opposite. I wanted when my parents walked in the center to feel flow, to feel peace, to feel like this is an environment that, my kids are thriving in. I feel safe bringing them here. And, having someone in the hallway, just commenting with rude remarks was not that. That's not what I wanted. So I went to work and I created a detailed procedure when it came to complaints, and I added it inside my policy booklet. So what a policy booklet, for those of you that don't know, is a booklet that you're going to create when you're starting your business. Think of it as your Bible, okay? It is a policy booklet that is filled with everything someone that is paying you for your services needs to know and needs to respect at all times. At all times, okay? It's a very developed book, and it gets more developed as you grow as a business, as you grow as a business owner, as you start seeing things that aren't quite working in your center, right? You start thinking, I never thought about that, or let's make that a little bit clearer. And it's a policy booklet that everyone needs to follow, including your staff. So I went to work and I wrote a complaint procedure that I handed to my staff. I added it inside the existing policy booklet. I emailed all my parents about it so that they knew that they had to become familiar with it. So let's talk about the complaint procedure. I'm going to walk you through a very basic complaint procedure that can make your life so much easier. But it's up to you to decide what best aligns with you and your business, okay? And obviously, depending on the size of your center, if you have a larger center, this is so much easier. But if you're someone that is the solopreneur, if you're a home daycare owner, then obviously you're the one that's going to be taking on this role. But in any case, you must have a simple, clear step-by-step process of how you deal with complaints in your business. So the first thing you want to think about is who is entitled to make the complaint. Is it the teenage brother or sister that's picking up a child? Is it the grandmother that sees the kids once a year and she comes to pick them up once a year from your center? Is it the parents, the caregivers of this child? Who is allowed to make the complaint? Then I want you to think about the delivery of a complaint. And this is really important, especially in a daycare setting, because we are working with little humans, okay? And they are very gentle. We have to make sure that we are always fostering a peaceful environment. So how do you want this complaint to be delivered to you? Is it by email? Is it by text? Is it face-to-face in a conversation, which I wouldn't suggest? Or is it in written format? Piece of paper with the date, the time, the complaint, as well as their signature. You may even go fancy and really create a template for them that they can follow, that they have access to, right? How are they supposed to deliver this complaint to you? Then think about, if you're not there, who is allowed to receive this complaint, right? The last thing you want is for anyone just to get their hands on it, right? So if someone decided, let's say, to complain about the menu and they wrote you this huge letter about, their disappointment, and they gave it to the substitute teacher, well, that doesn't really help you, right? Especially if you're not there, especially if it's, let's say, a long weekend or if it's during your vacation. That's the last thing you want. So think about that. Who is entitled to receive this complaint? Is it only you? Is it a lead educator? Is it your paying manager? Is it maybe you have a box? Some centers I've seen have boxes where people just write suggestions and they drop them in. You can have that as your complaint box or your suggestion box. Who is entitled? Who is allowed to receive the complaints? After that, it's all about being clear on what happens once the complaint lands on your desk, okay? And this has to be really detailed because parents want to know that you received the complaint and that it's being dealt with, that there's processes that you're following to really just make sure that you resolve the situation if you have to, right? So depending on the complaint, depending on the severity of the complaint, you have a few things that you have to do, right? So the first thing though is making sure that you let the person know, especially if they wrote you a letter and they left it on your desk. I received your complaint, and you will get an answer in the next 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever that is for you, right? So you want to make sure that they know that, yes, I got the complaint, I got your email, I got your text, and I'm dealing with it, okay? And give them a time limit. People want to know that they were heard, but they also want to know, when is this going to be taken care of? I mean, we're talking about kids here, right? People are nervous. They want to make sure that their kids are safe and that they're being heard. So make sure you give them a limit as to when you're going to answer back to them. Then after that, you go to work, right? So you follow your procedure when it comes to solving this issue. So depending on what the complaint was it about the menu? Was it about an educator? Was it about the way someone spoke? Was it because your daycare smells weird when people walk in? Like whatever the complaint is, do your work, do your due diligence, go into investigation mode, and really try to figure out what's going on. Okay. And after you have resolved the issue, or you have something to tell your client, right? You found a solution, maybe you have something to propose to them. Then I want you to reach out to them and ask them to come in your office. And this is really important, right? The last thing you want is to send an email and say, oh, you know what? You didn't like the menu this week, so we just added, some more pasta days. Thank you so much, right? No, you want to make sure that you're taking this seriously, right? No matter what the complaint is about. Have them come in the office. Tell them about, what you did, how you solved the problem. Talk about it back and forth. It's really important that the parents feel that obviously that they're being heard, but they're a part of the solution, right? So depending on what the complaint was about, you want to make sure that you are keeping them in the loop and that they are being involved in the solution. You want them to feel safe. You want them to make sure that they know that you are a professional and that you're taking this seriously, right? So that doesn't mean, I'll do whatever you say so that you don't make another complaint. That just means you put on your CEO hat, and depending on the severity of the complaint, you deal with it. So For example, I'll give you a quick example. I had a parent that had a hard time with the menu. She wanted us to add a lot of things in the menu that the kids we had in our care didn't eat. And I know that they didn't eat because we had already tried many different meals, and the kids were eating them, right? We had a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different ethnicities. So we came up with a menu that everyone ate. It was a basic menu, but it worked. The kids ate well. Everyone was happy except this one parent. So when I received her complaint, she wrote it down on a paper. I went to work. I started looking at the menu. I started talking to other parents to see what they thought about the menu. I started talking to the teachers to see, are the kids eating the food, or are they are they putting most of it in the garbage? And when I got all that feedback back, I had this parent come in the office, close the door, and then we just had a conversation. And I told her that I thanked her for her complaint. I thanked her for voicing her concern. I told her about all the work that I did kind of when I went into investigation mode. And she was really like, okay, she appreciated that because it made her feel like, okay, she actually tried to solve the problem for me. And then I asked her if there was something in specific that she wanted us to try. Okay. I told her that our door was open and that she could also copy the recipe for us and share it with us, and that we would do our best to kind of incorporate different foods in our menu. But that my goal was to make sure that the kids ate and that they ate well, and that we were serving healthy quality food, so that if we tried something 3 times and it didn't work, it didn't stick with the kids, that we would have to go back to what worked before. And she was okay with that. So that's how I dealt with her complaint. Everything was in written format. Everything was signed and dated, and I gave her a copy so that she knew like what went down, right? She knew exactly what the process was like. And then I kept this inside her file for future reference. I mean, you never know what happens later on. I just wanted her to I wanted to make sure that I was protecting my business, but that I was also allowing her to voice her concern as a parent and as a paying customer. Because guess what? If you deal with your customers with respect and you show them that you appreciate them, then that's only going to bring you more customers and more love and more light your way. Because yes, she might not have enjoyed the menu for her child, but she knows that I did my best to solve the problem. She was involved in the solution. She knew exactly what we were doing because we're following our procedures, and she felt heard, right? She felt heard. So when you're sitting down in your desk and you're thinking of complaint procedures, think about the latest complaint that you've had in your center, okay? And then think about how you could have dealt with it in a better way, more professional way. Think about the types of procedures that you can write up and add in your policy booklet. And once you add them in your policy booklet, I want you to make sure that you advise your parents that there have been changes in your policy booklet, so they're not left like, not knowing what's going on, right? And clarify every single step for them. So let's just recap real quickly here, because I know that was a lot of information. Someone has a complaint, what do? Step number 1, you write in your procedure booklet who is allowed to make a complaint. Second thing is the method of delivery. How are you going to be accepting the complaint? The third thing is who is responsible for accepting the complaints, right? Is it a lead educator? Is it yourself? Is it your manager? Who is this person that is allowed to accept the complaints? Then you want to make sure that the parent knows that you have received their complaint and that you are busy at work trying to find a solution to the problem. Once you find the solution to the problem, or once you have feedback that you want to share with your customer, you call them in your office, 10-15 minutes, talk, close the door, and with love and respect, you share with them what you found. You share with them solutions, possible solutions, and then you really allow them to communicate back to you. You keep everything in writing. You give them a copy. You keep your copy in the child's file, and that's it. So I hope that this video helped you. I hope that it kind of eases complaints, because I know that they're not fun. I know that they don't feel good, but I also know that when you deal with them in a better way, a proper way, that they don't have to stress you out. You don't have to lose sleep over them. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to enjoy this one as well.